Okay, Bhushan, welcome to Saligaon.
Thank you, Rick.
And we are trying something unusual today, which is a review of the local papers and what is down in the news. So, could you like to introduce what stories caught your eye?
Uh, First of all, I don't think it's new, right? I think we used to do it in the print format a long time back. Were we? Were we reviewing newspapers in that sense?
When we were working, I think in the Herald, we used to
Maybe vernacular papers. I think we did vernacular papers, if I'm not mistaken.
we used to critique our own paper and send feedback to
We
journalists.
were never allowed to critique any of our own papers. Okay. So,
We will agree to disagree on that.
I think the biggest story of the day in terms of 1, 2, 3, everyone's talked about, except for the Navin Times, which has dumped the story somewhere on the inside pages. This raid, I think the Herald and the Gone, I think, sum up the mood for this particular raid.
Okay.
60 lakhs seized in a Matka raid in Perne, gambling den raided in Morji, 59 lakhs seized.
This photo of the kind of 2000 rupee notes is quite amazing, although they carried it in small. But it's an interesting picture, no?
This is perhaps the biggest Matka raid. Matka is as you guys would know or should know, is the most common form of gambling in Goa. It involves small slips on which given to you by your local Matka operator. The guys everywhere.
Two-digit illegal gambling.
Two-digit and one digit, two-digit, and three digits. It's the prizes.
It's like, say, let's say it's like, I don't mean to underrate this, but it's like the poor man's casino.
Yeah, I mean, you want to use fancy words like it's the poor man's state lottery.
But addictive, I mean, and illegal.
I mean, you can have a crack at it 3 times a day. So
3 times a day.
Yeah,
so it can be addictive.
Yeah, and like in gambling, I guess there's always the urge of recovering what you've lost. So it's a cycle which I think never ends.
So you're saying that 60 lakhs is a significant figure.
As far as I can remember, I don't think. I think one newspaper makes a point somewhere. So the Gone leads the story with a very interesting intro. Having seized barely rupees 54,300 in cash in the previous 86 such raids. So that I think makes this raid a little significant. What also makes it significant is that the SP who conducted the raid didn't take too many people into confidence before.
I see. Otherwise the news leaks out.
The news leaks out. I guess she took adequate precautions to ensure that doesn't happen. Which is again a rare thing because in a lot of Matka cases are rigged. I mean, it's popular knowledge.
I see.
Where
you kind of raid, but beforehand you know that someone is coming.
The cops need to kind of show an inflated number of cases. The Matka operators have to survive, so it's almost an arrangement where these bookies offer themselves as
scapegoats.
Yeah, and the penalties are very few.
I see.
I don't exactly remember, but
you've been a police reporter for ages, no?
Just for 3 years in Goa.
3 years intensely.
Intensely, yes.
But that was the starting 3 years, and
that was probably my 4th year in this profession.
So, one gets the impression that this is blow hot, blow cold kind of thing. Suddenly, action will be taken, and then they'll do it quite openly. And would that be?
No, right now, for the last couple of years, there's the High Court monitored probe on Matka trade, which has castigated the police on several occasions.
I see.
This, I think, is a one-off.
Okay.
There are already rumors doing the rounds. I'll just underline that again, that the SP is likely to be transferred. She has scoffed the rumors, but this is the kind of response a raid like this gets. Whether it's going to happen again or not is...
I see. That's to be waited and watched.
Yes, yeah.
As far as the impact of Matka in the rural areas goes, I mean, it is serious in that sense. Would you agree?
Why just rural? I mean, just because it's like a small form of gambling. It's a pan Goa phenomena. It's a pan Western Coast phenomena.
Pan West Coast.
Yeah.
Not other parts of the country.
No, Matka is primarily a popular form of gambling across the Western Coast. It starts in Maharashtra and
It might be an interesting topic for a book, no, someday.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I mean, because people don't understand, it's not spoken about. Once in a way, a raid is conducted, it reaches the headlines.
Once in a way, a big raid is conducted,
Big raid.
and that's why it's the headline. Otherwise, it's. I don't think it even merits a mention anymore.
So 60 lakhs is like the kind of money this guy has collected in one place.
It could be money collected. It could be money
To be
for
paid.
disbursal. Yeah, to be paid. So this was probably not. This is not a small book. It is obviously a small or a certain level of a nerve center which
Okay.
they kind of attacked. The second story, actually, this should have been the first story. I kind of missed it because I think both papers have
I see. Carried it as second read.
on Matka, and so yeah.
This becomes the second read.
This the other big story of of today is this rape of a 20-year-old girl from Maharashtra who was sexually assaulted by a taxi driver near the airport. Significant because of the manner in which it happened. It happened along an open road. The girl was bundled into this cab,
Grabbed in and dragged in.
yeah,
or whatever.
and yeah,
Which is quite strange. In daytime.
in daytime, and the redeeming aspect in some ways, at least as far as the system is concerned, is the guy was arrested within 24 hours,
I see.
which I think is also significant. So
Anything else
Uh,
that catches your eye?
the return of Parrikar has triggered a lot of big developments in the state, which includes Claude got conditional bail yesterday, but the summons to Claude were issued a few days after Parrikar's return to Goa. Roy Naik's questioning in a drug nexus case, which is based on a legislative committee report dating back to 2013. So he gets summoned after 6 years. More importantly, after the big guy's back in town. So is the case with the Pollution Control Board's decision to grant SWPL consent to operate the coal facility. These developments could not have happened when Mr. Parrikar was in the US. This had to happen when he's on ground to, handle to play ringmaster.
Sometimes the news behind the story news doesn't emerge, and you have to connect the dots and
Yeah, I think that's what makes
dot the i's and cross the t's.
that's what makes reader awareness very critical. It's no longer important just to know the news, because you've probably read this even before it got published in the newspaper.
Somewhere online.
So I think the goings on behind the scene in a newspaper. I mean, the reader has to figure out the newspaper. The reader has to figure out the guy who wrote this. The reader has to figure out the editor. The reader has to figure out the owner. Only then can you...
No, this is fine to say for you and me. But supposing we were young journalists sitting there, do you have the time to contextualize? Is it possible in that 24-hour cycle?
To contextualize what?
To contextualize the news and its connections with the wider scenario, with politics, with...
What I'm saying is it's necessary. We may not be able to do it, but I think...
We should try. One should try.
One should try.
Yeah. I mean, the fair point, and I cannot contest what you're saying.
I think this is another story which completely is shattering in so many ways. Where a person who runs an outsourced dialysis unit is being harassed by the state government because of perhaps issues he has with the man who's running the ministry. What happened yesterday at Auspicio was quite shocking, because there were patients who deals with patients who need a dialysis, and it's a treatment which needs to be done in time and in a stress-free kind of an environment.
So there's this fight between this outsourced doctor and
the ministry, which is, I think, the patients have to pay for this struggle between the two.
What strikes me is that if you've been a reporter for long, as you have, Bhushan, then you get an insight which the average reader may not, obviously doesn't have. But unfortunately, the news process may not allow you to make these points, because we are supposed to, restrict ourselves to facts and those kind of things. Would you agree?
I would agree with you, but there's some things which are possible, some things which are not possible. I think
sometimes we don't try. Sometimes we just don't try.
Once upon a time, news was perhaps something which news was information which you wanted to know about, and maybe just keep it stashed somewhere. But now I think news has a more all-pervasive effect on people. Suddenly, perhaps it's the localization of news which makes it more relevant to you, right? So if news is relevant to you, you better know what you're reading.
True. Anything else you'd like to?
I think the Navin Times is the only story which has a piece on how on Pramod Sawant, who's the current speaker, who may replace the power minister. The power minister is like bedridden in a hospital in Bombay after he suffered a brain stroke, and I think nobody else has it. So again, let us see whether this happens or not. Papers in the past have predicted a lot of things, but
it doesn't happen. Yeah,
but it happens. It's great. If it doesn't, there's no byline, so there's no responsibility.
No, you're being cynical now. But I think okay. Any prediction could go wrong because there are
so many factors.
There are so many factors. Talking about that, one thing we are missing today is the Marathi Konkani papers, which are also very vibrant.
Yeah. They're much more vibrant. Marathi newspapers, because I don't think...
Yeah, Konkani, there's just one.
We have to speak in
singular.
They always have a better sense of what's happening than the English papers.
I see.
Yeah. They are the heartbeat of news.
In coverage of politics, any particular issue, or generally?
I think generally, you read a vernacular newspaper, you are more embedded. The chances of you knowing what's happening in the state are much more relevant. Perhaps in the Hindu belt. I think that's the only rider which
also means a lot of rural Goa, and
because English newspapers have very conveniently ignored a certain section of the readership.
Yeah.
The Marathi section has
taken over that,
but they've also consistently ignored the...
I see. Yeah,
because
nature.
It'll be very interesting to see how many vernacular newspapers get sold in Salsette.
Yeah.
Very interesting to see.
What is the cause of that? Is it a lack of coverage? Is it a deliberate, a couldn't care less attitude with...
Maybe it's just habit, right? We're all creatures of habit. So are people in newspapers.
Yeah. No, I'm saying where do you break it? Supposing there was more coverage of vernacular papers in Salsette, for example. Would that change the buying habits?
But again, let me just justify myself here. When I say vernacular, I'm sure Vaurad East sells a lot in Salsette. That's also vernacular.
Yeah. There are.
So let me not
there are
generalization that Marathi accounts for all the vernacular newspapers.
Last question: which are your favorite papers? What do you recommend? Why?
I think there's no favorite newspaper. You have to read two newspapers.
So which are your favorite two?
I'd rather read Navin Times and the Herald to figure out what's happening and what's not happening.
Okay. What's happening and what's not happening. Okay, so apart from that, Marathi?
In terms of
coverage
and more professionalistic outlook towards presenting of news, perhaps Lokmat. And Goan Varta has more juice these days. Yeah. Juicier, more bolder perhaps.
I see. Yeah. There were times when Gomantak, later Tarun Bharat were holding sway. Not. That's
Tarun Bharat still does in terms of numbers, if I'm not mistaken. But I think Gomantak's really dwindling. They have a very ramshackle staff. They're just pulling along.
I see. Thank you so much for your time and inputs.